Good evening and a warm welcome to you. Thank you so much for joining us here on Hope TV News Watch to bring you up to speed on stories making headlines. My name is Grace Ongoi and our sign language interpreter tonight is Boniface Moredi. Now, the Ministry of Health has issued a cholera alert to local healthcare facilities following increased cases of the killer disease across different parts of the country. According to the Health Ministry, ever since the most recent case of the disease was discovered in the country on October 19th, 2022, an additional 1,947 cases have been recorded across 11 counties. The counties are Kiambu, Nairobi, Murang'a, Kajiado, Nakuru, Machakos, Garissa, Meru, Nyeri, Wajir, and Uasin Gishu. In a statement, MOH Acting Director for Health, Dr. Patrick Amoth, added that a management team led by the Ministry's Department of Disease Surveillance and Epidemic Response and the aforesaid affected county health departments are currently implementing response activities to tame new infections. Owing to the increased movement of people during this festive season, MOH added that cholera infections are likely to surge alongside COVID-19 cases. He advised the affected counties to urge their constituents to wash and sanitize their hands frequently, as well as to enhance risk communication and engagement to tame new infections. Now, the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, IEBC, has blamed the Parliament for delayed reforms in the electoral body, saying several proposed bills by the Commission are yet to be acted upon. IEBC Commissioner Professor Abdi Guliye, who met various representatives of donor countries during a post-election evaluation of the 2022 general election, urged the bicameral House to expedite the pending legislation ahead of the next general election. The representatives commended the IEBC for presiding over a peaceful election, saying they had learned lessons from previous mishaps.
We saw a very peaceful election in Kenya. That is what reverberated in the international media and, of course, also in the domestic media. And it was a historic achievement. And for that, we have to primarily thank, of course, the common sense of Kenyans, the astuteness of Kenyans, and the willingness to move forward in a peaceful manner.
The Commission is prepared for success. Hence, it's important to plan this early.
We have the IEBC amendment bill that is stuck in the National Assembly. That is a product of our initiative as a commission.
We will need the support of our stakeholders to pressure Parliament not to wait for 2026 to start looking at the reforms the commission is proposing.
And now to some education stories. TSC CEO Nancy Macharia appeared before Committee on Education to explain how the Commission plans to recruit 30,000 teachers and plans on the delocalization of teachers as charged by President William Ruto in efforts to improve a teacher shortage situation in the country. The CEO had quite a task explaining why the Commission has not hired 5,000 intern teachers months after the National Assembly approved their budget. The Committee on Education, chaired by Julius Mellis, said they will also charge the Commission for lost time.
We have been recruiting 5,000, that is the budget we get, 5,000 for 5,000 teachers. And these 5,000 teachers were all meant for secondary schools because of the 100% transition. So it is this house that dictates how we recruit. So my prayer is that going forward, can we please, through the chair, get money to also go to primary schools. But if you check with the 30,000 teachers that we are currently recruiting, money has been actually allocated for primary schools. In the past, the more vacancies, in fact, even as we speak here today, more vacancies are in secondary schools than they are in primary schools. That doesn't mean that primary schools don't need teachers, they do. But what is the budget statement about? And so it is for this house to give us teachers. We have always asked for 20,000 teachers to get this gap closed, but we always get 5,000.
Now, the Kenya National Union of Teachers, NAT, has now revealed that it will be pushing for 60% pay rise for teachers across all cadres to implement the 2021-2025 Collective Bargaining Agreement, CBA. Speaking in Kisumu ahead of NAT's 62nd Delegates Conference, NAT Secretary General Colin Soyo revealed that some teachers have stagnated at one job group for years due to the harsh economic times, with the previous CBAs having focused on better packages for school heads and school administrators. Over 2,000 members from 115 branches will be represented in this year's two-day National Delegates Conference, which kicks off Wednesday at Sitam Church, Kisumu. Other issues to be discussed in the NDC include the delocalization of teachers, criteria for promotion of teachers, as well as the formation of a teachers' appeal tribunal to handle disciplinary cases against teachers.
We believe that Jesus should be glorified and lifted up.
The government's education charter shall also be in discussion, and what is there in the same charter for teachers: the funding of education, improving on available infrastructure, review of some policies that have posed danger to the education sector. That these issues that I've raised shall be canvassed by delegates very positive. This is a very peaceful union, and in the trade union, Kenya National Union of Teachers, we believe in order. I think delegates will be very orderly to discuss these issues that by and large affect teachers in this republic.
The government has begun a feeding program to 2.5 million learners in ASL counties and informal settlements. The government has informed that the 2.5 learners are receiving food. This is according to Education Cabinet Secretary Ezekiel Machogu, who noted that the government is committed to provide school meals to the targeted learners to sustain their access to education. The CS made the remarks at Jogo House after a courtesy call by the representative and country director for World Food Program, WFP Kenya, Lauren Landis. At the same time, commended WFP, among other development partners and donors, for the support they gave the government in ensuring children in the targeted areas access to education. Now, high school principals have been tasked with the responsibility of ensuring KCSE goes on smoothly by ensuring they are present in their institutions throughout the national examination exercise. According to KICD CEO Professor Charles Ongondo, who spoke while opening national examination container in Machakos, the Ministry of Education has received reports that some of the invigilators in several centers have become lax, thus creating opportunities for the possibility of examination malpractices. Investigations has kicked off investigations into the violence that rocked South Gem Ward in Siaya County last week. As part of the investigations, Kisumu City Manager Balawanga spent more than 2 hours at the DCI offices in Yala Gem sub-county recording statements on the events that saw several people injured and scores of vehicles damaged. Here's Tyson Jenga with that report.
Gem Sub-County DCI boss Sami Mbarani has confirmed that several leaders, among them the South Gem Ward MCA-elect Brian Onyango, have been summoned to record statements after chaos rocked South Gem Ward by elections in Siaya County. Mbarani said that 2 people are in custody and are set to appear in court soon in connection to the violence, adding that several people were nursing injuries in several hospitals. During the by-elections, Onyango, who vied as an independent candidate, floored ODM's Polycarp Wanga by garnering 3,469 votes against Wanga's 3,353 votes. Addressing the media outside the DCI offices after recording his statement, Kisumu City Manager Abala Wanga, whose younger brother Polycarp Wanga was a candidate in the by-elections that were conducted last Thursday, said he expected the police to do due diligence and tell Kenyans what transpired.
We have this one is, I think, must be an information that will give the police a lot of challenges that in future, if such election was take place, how do we mitigate this violence? And how do people who are injured will get justice? And how do people who lost properties also will get justice?
Polycarp Wanga, the ODM candidate who lost the battle, said he will seek legal redress and accused his opponents of being behind the violence that he said made many voters not to turn out to exercise their democratic right.
Yes, there's hope, because there are legal ways to address such issues through the courts, and we would also love to have information from IBC about the kit, how it all rose once and had the highest turnout in a by-election like this. We can say this violence was engineered by my opponent, because that is their home turf, so that people could not vote.
Meanwhile, several leaders in GEM, among them an Anglican priest, Reverend Kenneth Washianga, are calling for peace, saying that there is need for tolerance among the locals.
I just want to appeal to our leaders that it is a high time that we really need to behave like leaders. Whatever took place in South GEM during the elections of the MCA seat was not the best. We have had several elections in GEM here, and there is no any single day we have witnessed such a violence.
And the residents of Kambare village, led by Paul Otieno Ouma, said the locals were forced to vent their anger after some unknown goons started attacking them.
Na walikuja au magunzi wakaenda mpaka boma ya kina Brian ama Otuo Mpolo. Tukajaribu kuwafuata huko tena, walienda wakapata tu baba ya Brian peke yake kwa boma. So vile tuliwafuata, waliingilia nyuma ya shule, wakakata fence, wakaingia polling station.
Niwa na watu yenye hatujui, na waka disorganize hapo pale kwa voting center. Ili wetu walianza kukimbia kwa sababu moja wetu wa kijana wetu alidungwa na kisu.
Reporting for Hope TV News Watch, I'm Tess Jenga.
Let's now take our first break here on Hope TV News Watch. We'll be back with more stories. Don't go away.
Every Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. Spotlight.
Do you feel like they are in a place where they can effect a Barack Obama moment?
When you hear the word of God and you hear Jesus is speaking.
Real talk on real issues.
You know the Bible says faith without works is dead.
The truth of the gospel that will survive the time is not a health and wealth gospel.
When there is time to harmonize and bring one composite amendment.
With idealistic, thought-provoking guests.
So people come to be serviced, to be encouraged, to be empowered.
When the storm is over, you desire the closeness you have with God.
Hosted by Reverend Edward Furi.
Redeemed and so happy in Jesus, no language.
Liven up your day with these Southern Gospel favorites.
Now let us have a little talk with Jesus. Let us tell him all about
The Bill Gaither Show, featuring veteran gospel artists. The Gaither Vocal Band.
And I know, yes I know.
Homecoming series, interviews, and much more.
Hallelujah. Yesterday's gone and tomorrow may never come, but we have this moment today.
The Bill Gaither Show, only on Hope TV.
Words, gentle touch.
Thank you for staying with us. And now, Peter Waithaka, the suspect behind the killing of a Greek tourist in Kilimani and the alleged leader of a three-man gang that has been terrorizing residents of Kilimani, Nairobi, will remain in custody for 14 days to allow police to conduct investigations. Waithaka, who appeared before Senior Principal Magistrate Bernard Ochoa, has been accused of being part of a gang that killed Alex Marco Paulo, a tourist who was in the country on October 15th this year when he resisted the attempt to make way with his backpack at Meneli Ngong Road Junction. The suspect is also accused of shooting a doctor in the stomach in Ngumo area before escaping using a motorbike. However, police are yet to recover the firearm used in both accidents and are pursuing more suspects who are involved in the crime. The case will be mentioned on January 3rd, 2023. Civil society group Linda Ugatuzi has threatened to file a petition in court to dissolve Mombasa County government over a tussle between the governor and health workers over delayed salaries. While condemning the Mombasa County government for failing to pay its entire workforce a 3-month salary, the devolution activists issued a 4-day ultimatum to Mombasa Governor Abdul Samad Nasir to pay workers their wages. The health workers are demanding pay from the Mombasa County government after failing to pay them for 3 months. Michelle Macau with the details.
Solidarity forever, for the union makes us strong.
Health workers together with activists in Mombasa have joined hands to demand pay from the Mombasa County government. Linda Ugatuzi activist Professor Fred Ogola has threatened to file a petition to dissolve Mombasa County government after a scuffle between the governor and health workers. The devolution activist also issued a 4-day ultimatum to Mombasa Governor Abdul Samad Nasir to pay workers their salaries.
To the governor, you are given the powers to run this county. Please use those powers to serve the people, build the local economy. You are telling us about revenue collection. While budget came, I'm urging you to address this matter with urgency. And if you don't do that, this is what I will do. I will do a submission in court to ask the Supreme Court and the High Court to declare that Mombasa County is ungovernable because the Constitution gives Kenyans right. If you cannot run a county, the county can be absorbed by the national government.
According to the KMPDU Coast Region Chairperson Dr. Hassan Mkuche, over 1,500 medics are demanding 2-month salary arrears and 5-month statutory deductions which have not been remitted by Mombasa County administration.
Our members have not received salaries for 2 months. That is for the month of October and November. And now we're right smack in the middle of December, and even that salary is not forthcoming. So we're looking at 3 months without salaries for all healthcare workers and in fact generally all county workers of Mombasa County. On top of that, we've got non-remittance of salary, of statutory and other deductions of up to 5 months. And so when even 1 month's salary enters the account, that money is swallowed by the banks and by other financial institutions that have lent money to county government workers.
The Kenya National Union of Medical Laboratories Officers Mombasa Chapter Secretary Moses Maingi said that medics are living like beggars due to unbearable situations subjected to them by their employers.
Kwa nini hawajalipa? Wao ndio wanaweza kutufafanulia zaidi, kwa sababu wao wameweza kuplay hata clips wakisema kwamba wamelipa. Na tukienda katika akaunti zetu za mishahara hapana malipo. Sasa hatujajua ni shida gani, kwa sababu ukiangalia zile arrears zimetoka miaka ya kule nyuma, na kila mwaka wa serikali Mombasa wanafanya kikao na kufanya budget ambayo inapitishwa na county assembly. na hatujapata ripoti kuwa kuna siku wamepanga budget na mgao wanaopata kutoka serikali kuu au kuweza kutimiza yale mahitaji ya jimbo la Mombasa.
Kenya National Union of Nurses trustee leader Stanley Moilogo accused the county government of ignoring their plight despite having a meeting with the county governor Abdul Swamad Nasir.
We have tried to negotiate this thing with our county bosses, with our employer, but they are just throwing us here and there. Our members are paying penalties for non-remittance of their loans, and yet the mistake is not theirs. We go to the employer, they'll give you stories. They'll call us for meetings, they don't come, all of them. They call a meeting, only one member will come, finance may not come, only the county secretary, sometimes this one may not come. Actually, they had been running away from all those meetings and buying time for that. It's so painful for our own members who are paying for their unions, lakini inaonekana Nkamba haiwatetei. And actually the county knows very well kwamba pesa zimelipwa na hawazipeleki mali zinastahili.
For Hope TV Newswatch, I'm Michelle Macau.
Thank you, Michelle, for that. Now, Mombasa County Commissioner John Otieno has assured both local and foreign tourists of adequate security as they get ready to celebrate Christmas and New Year holidays. Speaking during Jamhuri Day celebrations in Mombasa, Otieno called on the residents to take it upon themselves to ensure there is peace and order as they enjoy themselves during the festivities.
Tunaelekea kwa sherehe hizi na tayari police officers yale wamewekwa katika kila kona kuhakikisha kwamba kuna usalama ya kutosha. Katika hali ya kuvuruga usalama ni vijana wadogo sana. Wale wako chini ya umri wa miaka 20, miaka 19 ndio wale ambao wanasumbua wamama, wanasumbua wazee kila jioni, kila asubuhi wakati wameamka, wamerauka kwenda kutekeleza jukumu la kujenga nchi. Na kwa hivyo wazazi tuweze kuchukua jukumu, tuweze kuchukua nafasi yetu, tuhakikishe ya kwamba vijana wetu wameacha kujihusisha na vitendo vya uhalifu.
Tumetangaza nafasi ya kazi mitaani kwa vijana 1500 wa Mombasa. Vijana baadhi yao watakuwa katika fuo zetu za bahari, kwa sababu kuna wengine unajua wanaweza kufika akaona anajua kuoga, kumbe haelewi ya kwa ule upepo wa bahari ni tofauti. Nimetoa amri, kutakuwa na patrol boats ambazo zitakuwa zinazunguka katika fuo zetu za bahari pia vile. Kutakuwa na ushers ambao wataweza kuwaelezea vijana hawa wetu, wataweza kuwaelezea watu jinsi ambao kwamba wanaweza kwenda, kama ni mapembeni ni wapi, na hii Mombasa inawezekana.
Moving on, a man accused of murdering his wife at Kimagoro village of Narok South Sub-County has been arraigned in Narok High Court, where he was charged with murder. Zachariah Ngetich Silate is accused of killing Judith Resiato on November 1st, 2022 and was arrested on November 16th, 2022. Narok High Court Judge Justice Francis Gikonyo directed the defense prosecution team to give the submissions in 7 days to allow the victim's side to reply before the bail hearing date on January 11th, 2023.
This is the ruling of the court. Mr. Kipkoech, learned legal counsel for the accused, began by showering this court by stating that this court is wise on matters bail, and I am flattered. I will, however, reciprocate. I find Mr. Okeji's submissions in reply to depict wisdom and a sense of balance in judgment, particularly when he stated that there is need for a pre-bail report as well as victim statements to be filed in relation to the bail application herein. And now, therefore, I will allow the prosecution as well as the victims to file and some affidavits on compelling reasons within 7 days of today. And upon service, the accused may file replies thereto within 7 days thereof.
Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. Spotlight.
Do you feel that they are in a place where they can effect a Barack Obama moment?
When you hear the word of God and you hear Jesus is speaking.
Real talk on real issues.
You know, the Bible says faith without works is dead.
The truth of the gospel that will survive the time is not a health and wealth gospel.
When there is time to harmonize and bring one composite amendment.
With idealistic, thought-provoking guests.
So people come to be serviced, to be encouraged, to be empowered.
When the storm is over, you desire the closeness you have with God.
Hosted by Reverend Edward Furi.
And now for some business news. The U.S.-Africa Summit kicked off on Tuesday with the aim of underscoring the importance of the U.S.-Africa relations and explore avenues for increased cooperation on shared global priorities. The National Democratic Institute, NDI, and the Pan-African Lawyers Union, PALUM, Zalando Trust, and Siasa Place, among other organizations, are partnering to organize a watch party of specific summit proceedings to highlight perspectives from Africa during the summit, particularly on issues of governance, the role of youth in advancing democratic governance, trade and digital transformation in Africa, under the theme Voices from Africa, Perspectives on the Future of U.S.-Africa Relations. The three-day summit will be taking place in Washington, U.S., following the launch of the new U.S.-Africa strategy in August 2022, which outlines 4 strategic objectives, namely climate adaptation post-pandemic, economic recovery efforts, democracy and security, long-standing goals of transparent governance.
Is affecting youth participation in governance. There is such an astronomical difference between, the people who fought for independence, the people who established the new African nations, and there is the youth here down at the periphery. There is the issue of commercialization of politics. There is the issue of cultural considerations when youth are venturing into politics. There is a difference between eligibility of standing for an elective seat and the legal or the cultural acceptance by the society for any political candidate. You say you are 18, you are eligible to vie for a political position, but when you go to the society, they will vote for the person who is 40 years because they believe that they are safer in the hands of such a person.
So we really need to be intentional, even at the civil society, as we champion for the implementation of the Agenda 2063, let us create the awareness that this exists and this is what we are looking forward to. And in the midst, let us also try to bring on board young.
The National Taxpayers Association, NTA, in partnership with Oxfam in Kenya and Okoa Uchumi Campaign are calling on the National Treasury, Kenya Revenue Authority and the National Assembly to review the national tax policy with an aim of expanding the wealth tax base. The bodies called on the national and county governments to conduct public sensitization and education on wealth tax on various items taxable and its role in reducing income inequality, and for the national government to improve transparency and accountability on the use of wealth tax and other taxes with an aim of enhancing tax expediency.
There has been general concern that Kenya's capital gains tax rate is relatively low, as evidenced by the comparison with other African countries. So it is against this background that an attempt was made through the Finance Bill 2019 to increase capital gains tax rate from 5% to 12.5%. So this initial attempt was shot down, but again, later on it was reintroduced. That is when they settled on 15% from January 2023. So I move to findings with respect to property tax in Kenya. So in Kenya, property rates, also known as rates, are levied annually on real property, that is land, real estate, and buildings. So the low property tax revenue has been attributed to weak administrative structure, obsolete assessment rules, and rates computation based on an improved site value.
And now for some sports news. Sports Cabinet Secretary Ababu Namwamba has offered the biggest ray of hope that South African broadcaster SuperSport will return to the country 5 years since they closed their shutters to broadcasting the FKF Premier League. Multichoice Ofulu Budugela was in the country this weekend and was a guest of the state during the 59th Jamhuri Day celebrations, and also held meetings with Namwamba later after watching the match between AFC Leopards and Sofapaka at the Nyayo Stadium. Her presence and subsequent meetings with the new CS, who has continuously insisted his desire for the company's return to Kenya, offers hope that Kenyan football will be back on TV soon.
I have made progress in my discussion with SuperSport and invited MultiChoice to Nairobi, and they came today. They were part of our Jamhuri Day celebrations, and I've just finished a substantive meeting with the MultiChoice Africa CEO, and we have made good progress in our discussions to get MultiChoice SuperSport back into Kenyan sports.
Kiambu's 19-year-old Elvis Muigwa and nearly 17-year-old Rasmeet Kaur emerged the winners in the 15 years and above category at Safaricom's Junior Elite Camp tournament held at Windsor Golf Club. The duo braced chilly morning weather to post a gross of 76 and 89 points respectively to claim the category's best girl and boy titles. The tournament marked the end of the 3-day boot camp held at the facility where 51 elite junior golfers across the country got a chance to be trained on different aspects of the game. The U.S. Kids Golf Foundation conducted the training in collaboration with the Junior Golf Foundation. The elite players aged 11 years and above participated in the 18-holes tournament, with the younger players 10 years and below participating in the 9-holes tournament.
It was a good day. I played some good golf, receiving solid win. I played with Krish, Lee, being the solid players. I feel good. They give me competition that I feel good to win my category. Yeah.
I think it feels pretty exciting. Although I did not play my best, I understand that was the best gross that was there in my age category. It was really tough. The course was playing tough as well, but I had a lot of fun, and I'd like to thank Windsor and Safaricom for sponsoring this entire competition. Some physical aspect of the game was a lot of putting drills that I'll take home and probably practice on, that I think would improve my short game.
Now, the FIFA World Cup action makes a return tonight as the first semi-finals gets underway. Having already sent one South American behemoth home from the World Cup, Croatia will be aiming to reach back-to-back finals when they lock horns with Argentina in tonight's semi-final at Lusail Iconic Stadium. Argentina have never been eliminated from the World Cup in the Final Four and have progressed to the final every time that they have got this far. Croatia remarkably reached the 2018 World Cup final without winning any of their knockout games in normal time, and history is on the verge of repeating itself tonight. That's all the news we had prepared for you. My name is Grace Angoi, and a sign language interpreter tonight has been Boniface Mureithi. Bye-bye.